the NBA allow players to be drafted right after high school? I know it's in a lot of discussion. They're not actually saying right after high school. It's just that age shift. I think they want to may take it back down to 18 again. Um, but do you think they should allow it like it was back in the day? Jay, I'm gonna come to you first on this one.
It's a hard question. On I don't know. I guess in principle, I feel like they should,
Hmm.
because in other sports you can, tennis, even baseball, you can. I mean, you can get drafted. I mean, you're going to play double A, triple A, whatever it's called.
Hmm.
It feels like in football and basketball are the only sports where you can't. I get it, in football, guys aren't physically ready. So I feel like in principle they probably should allow it. There's only going to be a guy or two every year that's even good enough to really make that jump anyway.
Hmm.
So I think they should allow it. Almost, how K Walk in football, you can kind of test your draft prospect and you can kind of put your name in the hat. And then if it
Yes,
doesn't work out, you can go back. They should do something like that for these
like
guys.
that.
Like, let them put
Yep.
their name in the hat. If it doesn't work out, let them continue to have their eligibility to go to college or go play overseas or go to the G League, whatever
Hmm.
it's called. So yeah, I think in principle it feels fair for someone that has extraordinary talent. Why make them wait?
Yeah, you know what? I'm in agreement. I think they should allow it. They used to do it at one point in time. I don't understand why they ever changed the rules. I mean, I feel like it was more geared to helping colleges and their programs make money. I do believe that. Let's be honest. I think that was the primary reason why they decided to change the rules. Um, it wasn't a lot of consistency for the programs to continuously win. Um, but yeah, it really made no sense to me. A lot of these guys, they're not going to college anyway. Like you said, Jay, they're going overseas. They're going to the G League because you could enter right into the G League. They have a draft down there now. You could make just as much. Well, not just as much. You could make decent money overseas. So just allow for the one or two exceptional player to come straight into the NBA like you did with LeBron and Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant, all those guys. I think that's the best way to do it. But K Walk, what are your thoughts?
You know what? I kind of like 1 year, one and done. I like the one and done rule, especially now with the NIL deal, with everything's going on there. So I like the NIL. I like the one and done. I like these guys getting experience before they get experience, because if you go to the right program, you can get that. You can get that March Madness experience. You can get that playing in front of 20 plus thousand fans and an environment, and things of that nature, and that can prepare them for the NBA. And then of course, then you got the NIL deals on how to manage your money and things of that nature. So I'm going to say, I like the one and done. I don't like coming right out of high school anymore. I don't like that anymore. I like the one and done. I think
Mm-hmm.
these guys have to get some type of education. I know it's different than when we grow up, Jay. As far as how much money that could be made, in the game, whether it be football, whether it be basketball, whatever the case may be, whatever respective sport may be. But I like the one and done deal. I think you should allow these kids, make these kids, if they want to go to that next level, to go to college for at least 1 year. I like it. There's so many different things that's there for them now that it was back in the day. So yeah, I no, don't forget about that. Straight out of high school stuff. I think they're just too young. Even I don't care how many guys you have representative, or how many people, not to say guys, how many people you have representing you and steering you in the right direction. Because even we see that with John Morant, even with that, that can go left or right. So I think that putting them in a situation, putting them in a college atmosphere, allowing them to go through that NIL deal, and putting them in a situation like that, I think that's the best route to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, K Walk, I think you made great points. I mean, I don't think you can argue with those points. The only reason that I disagree with it, though, is because
Hmm.
it feels like it's the only walk of life where your greatness is penalized, right? Like, if I'm a great musician, I can go on tour at
I
16
get
years
that.
old
I
and
get
sell
that.
out, right? Like,
Hmm.
if I'm a great artist, like, nothing holds me back from like putting my art out there. So my only issue with it is, like, if I'm the best young basketball player in the world, like, why do I have to be held back a year from going and being a professional when I'm that talented. Like that's
Yeah,
my
from a
only
basketball
argument.
standpoint,
You know what
yeah,
I
from
mean?
a basketball standpoint, I get it. But I think when you talk about the mental aspect of it and put them in a situation where they're surrounded by people and they can get into that atmosphere, because a lot of these guys that we've seen, there have been a lot of first round guys or first overall picks that have been busts. I'm not saying this is the reason why they've been bust, but it just put them in a situation where allow them to prepare themselves for that big stage, if you will, that national tournament, like, where we're going on right now, and that, Final Four, and then put them in a situation where classes and then prepare them mentally, not just on the basketball court, but prepare them off of the aspect of off the court, or off the field, or again, whatever respective sport we're talking about. That's where I'm coming up. But I get what you're saying, Jay, for sure.
Yeah, no, and you're right. I mean, there's certainly a lot of pitfalls and traps that you can
Yes.
fall into. Like, there's
Yes.
no question about that.
Yes.
It just, yeah, it's tough because I just see every other sport, every other walk of life.
I don't think
it's
one
all
year would
right
hurt.
there
I don't think
for you.
1 year in college would hurt them, though, Jay, because that talent's going to be there.
Yeah,
And a lot of people are going to say, well, maybe they can get hurt. Well, you can get hurt walking down your steps. You can get hurt taking the trash out, whatever the case may be.
yeah.
But I just think that 1 year can make a big difference in a lot of, and not every athlete's or student athlete's life, but at least one person.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a fair point, no doubt.
I think it depends on the player, because sometimes, I don't know if you guys ever realize, sometimes when a player goes from high school to college, they could be the star player, number one overall ESPN rated player, so forth. But sometimes the college game can change your game that may no longer be suitable for the NBA game. We have seen that time and time again. If they would have came straight from high school to the NBA, they could have been a star or a superstar, but because they decided to pivot off and go into the college game, depending on who your coach is, some coaches will say, hey, we need to take your strengths and build upon that and just work on your weaknesses. But then other coaches will basically change your game a little bit. Prime example, this is not a good example at all, but I'm going to use it. Whatever. I'm going to still use it. I have no idea when I watched this guy, and it's Ben Simmons, I'm going to be honest with you, coming out of high school. He did everything. And I mean, shoot the ball, dribble. He did everything. I don't know what happened from the time he went from the high school level to the college level, where all of a sudden he no longer shoots that ball. His position basically changed. I have no idea who told him to do it, what happened. And then when he comes into the NBA ranks, outside of that mental aspect, his game was completely different. If he would have came from high school into the NBA, you still got to work on mental, regardless if you're coming from high school, college, whatever. That's just something you're going to constantly have to work on. But I think if he would have came from high school straight into the NBA, we would have seen a different type of player. He's great defensively, but offensively, something happened. I don't know what happened, but he's just one of so many examples. That's just the one I could think off the top of my head. But we have seen that time and time again. Because think about it, college has a more team. they work more in a team than the NBA. The NBA is more that ISO type of game. College is more of that, they play more zone than anything. It's a completely different game when you go to college. So that's why I say the one or two exceptional players, allow them to go into the NBA. And mentally, you're going to have to work on that, whether you 18 or 19. So, but K-Walk, you do make a lot of valid points, and I understand where you're coming from as well.